I really appreciate the time here today. Thank you very much, and congrats on this big fight and opportunity. I know the UFC wanted to make this fight for several months, but I had been in contact with your father for several months, Ray Thompson, the great Ray Thompson, your head coach, of course, and he told me unequivocally several times that this is not a fight that you are interested in, that you're not healthy, and even if you were healthy, it's not a fight that you want. Why are you fighting Darren Till, and how are you fighting Darren Till on May 27th?
Yeah, man. Well, first got approached for the Darren Till fight directly after my Masvidal fight, where wasn't really sure at the time what the situations were with my thumbs. So it was like for sure a no. I know they wanted it to happen in February, or I wasn't really. I think it was February, and we were like, nah, we're not going to be ready, man. I ended up breaking both my thumbs, so the healing time it just wasn't right. It wasn't the right time. But you know what? I also at the same time wanted to kind of see where the welterweight division guys at the top, where were they going? Who was going to be fighting Tyron next? There was talk about an interim title happening, and I wanted to kind of hold off to see where, if I was even on the list for that interim title. But looks like it's not going to happen, and I want to stay busy, and why not stay busy with one of the top guys that everybody's talking about from Liverpool, Darren Till. So, kind of want to test myself against some of these young guys, where everybody's saying the next generation, to let everybody know that I'm here to stay. And I'm gonna be the one bringing that title belt back to Simpsonville. So it's gonna be me. So if it's Darren Till, somebody I got to go through, then that's who I got to go through.
How are your thumbs right now? Are you 100%? Are you fully clear to fight, to train?
Oh yeah. So ended up breaking both my thumbs. I tore a ligament in my right. The doctor wanted to have surgery on it, and but if I had surgery on it, I won't be able to make a fist. So I was like, no, I'm not going to have surgery. I'm going to see what physical therapy will do for the thumb. So, man, I'm still doing physical therapy twice a week, but they're feeling great. I've got Chris Weidman in this week, helping me out with this camp, with the wrestling aspect especially, and just to have somebody to push you, somebody that big and strong, in on your legs. I mean, he's got great striking too, which I think everybody underestimates that with Chris. So I've got him in this week for that. And my thumbs are feeling great. Sorry for the noise, man. We got karate camp going this week. It's spring break, and we're at the bowling alley right now.
Oh, no problem. I really appreciate it. And we won't keep you very long, but I just wanted to hear from you
No, it's all
because
good.
people are so excited about this fight. Do you feel, Steven, given the buzz surrounding Darren and the fact that it's in his hometown, that the UFC is trying to use you as a stepping stone for Darren Till?
You know what? Yeah, man. I mean, of course, I didn't even know, to be honest with you, I didn't even know who this guy was when I was approached. I was like, who is this Darren Till? And then, he got a name after knocking out Cerrone, which I don't see. I mean, Cerrone was on a 3-fight losing streak. He was knocked out the fight before by George Masvidal, who I just beat.
Right.
And so I'm like, who is this number 7 guy? Why is he jumping over everybody else to fight the number 1 contender? Why am I not fighting the number 2 guy? When I was coming up in the rankings, I was number 2. I had to fight the number 1 to get that title. And which was, that was another reason why I turned down the Darren Till fighter off the bat, because I wanted that fight with RDA. And that's not happening, obviously. So there's really nobody else to fight but this guy, Darren Till. In his backyard, which didn't make sense to me either at first. So I'm like, why am I fighting this guy who I don't even know who this guy is in his hometown? So, but you know what? He's asking for it, and he's definitely going to get the best people in the boy Thompson come May 27th.
Have you had a chance to watch him? And if so, are you impressed with him? Like, do you understand the hype or still not really?
To be honest with you, no. I mean, everybody's saying he's a great striker. From what I've seen, he keeps his right side forward. He throws his left hand, throws his left leg, likes to throw a few elbows. But to be honest with you, not very impressed by Darren Till. I think Masvidal's a better fighter.
Wow.
I think he brings more to the table than Darren Till. And that's just me. I mean, Darren Till is young. I mean, he had, 4 fights in the UFC right now. And the first 3 guys, I don't even know who those guys were. I don't even know who those guys are. But you know what? We're going to be seeing, anybody in the UFC is good. If you're at the lowest end or the highest end, you have a chance to get knocked out and put to sleep. And Darren Till, the way he's been going through from what I've seen in the fight, he's very durable. He's tough. He likes to throw that left hand. He throws it hard. He's got the chance to knock you out. So everybody's got that chance to do it. So I still got to be on my P's and Q's when I step out there in Liverpool, in his hometown. And I hear, this is not the first time I've been in enemy territory. Fighting Rory McDonald in Ottawa, Canada, that was pretty intense. That was fun. But I hear the fans in Liverpool are a little bit more passionate about their fighters. So you know what? We'll see, man. We're gonna go out there and have some fun.
Is it fair to say then that you're a little bit, befuddled about this whole situation, about the fact that this guy's getting pushed to fight you, who went the distance with Woodley twice, fought him to a draw, all that stuff and more? Like you're not quite seeing what the UFC is seeing.
Yeah, I mean, I know that they're trying to push this guy, and I don't know if it's the fact that they don't have anybody else to push from that area from Europe. He's definitely a talker, man, and that's the kind of where the UFC's heading. They're headed to, they're more apt to push those guys who go out there and run their mouth a little bit. So yeah, man, I just think there's more guys in the UFC division right now that are more deserving of the fight, to that number one contender. But yeah, it is what it is. It's politics, but all I'm going to do is go out there and do what I do best, and that's put a hand or a foot upside somebody's head.
I was told, Stephen, and I know ESPN reported as well, that you, as a result of taking this fight, got a new deal from the UFC. Is that accurate? And are you happy with this new deal?
Yeah, man. We've had some negotiations back and forth with the UFC, and I am happy with it. To be honest with you, I am happy with what's going on and my new contract. So it's definitely an incentive to actually go out there and do it. Of course, I'm not in the game for the money, but when the UFC is really pushing something you really don't want, or it doesn't make sense, you can kind of play the game with them a little bit, and we did that, and we got what we wanted. So we're gonna go out there and have some fun, man, and with smiles on my face.
As is usually the case with you. My understanding is that later on this week, they're going to announce that RDA is fighting Colby Covington for the interim title in Rio. How do you feel about the fact that Colby Covington is getting an interim title fight?
Man, obviously I'm upset. Being the number one contender, why am I not fighting for that interim title? It makes sense. I know that I fought for the title twice, and the first fight was just amazing, man. We got fight of the night. We fought to a draw. Second fight, people weren't impressed with it, but still, I'm still the number one contender. So why am I not fighting for that interim title? Why isn't the number two guy fighting the number one? It just doesn't make sense. So it's almost like they're not going by the rankings anymore. Obviously, I'm upset about it, but it is what it is, man. There's no changing it now.
Did you ask the UFC this question? And if so, what was their response? Why am I not fighting for the interim title? Why is Colby fighting for the interim title?
That's something we were trying to push for. It seemed like they had their mindset. When we were kind of going over the negotiations and stuff, they were pushing the Darren Till. We were like, hey, why are we not fighting for the interim title? Why aren't we fighting the number two guy? Because I know they were at the time, there was talk about an interim title, and that's one of the reasons why I was kind of holding on to see where that was going and who was on the list for that. And they were just like, no, man. They were kind of set in their ways, and for sure who was going to be fighting for that interim title, and I wasn't it.
I don't know if this is possible for you, but I'll ask the question anyway. Can you take off the Stephen Wonderboy Thompson fighter hat, put on your promoter hat, and I'll ask you this question. Do you feel, considering the fact that he comes from, this part of the world where the UFC wants to capitalize on his fan base, he's a charismatic fighter, he's a fun fighter, do you feel like it is a mistake to book someone like Darren Till against you, given your resume and your experience in the sport? My theory is put Darren Till in there against anyone. You're going to get the same, ticket sales, the same excitement. It's just a showcase. Why put him in there against someone as experienced and dangerous as you? Do you feel like the UFC is making a mistake by doing this to a young guy like Darren Till?
To be honest with you, yes. I mean, there's a lot of people that have said that to me as well. Like, if they're wanting to promote this guy, why would they put him against you? And I don't think it's more of the UFC. I think he said in his ways that he wants to face me and nobody else. Obviously, he wants to try and jump up, but I don't know if he's thinking about the rest of his career. I did the same thing. After my very first fight in the UFC, they jumped me up. They put me up against a guy named Matt Brown. If I could go back and change that, I would have. You know, but in that, I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for that loss. And of course, I'm not going to take Darren Till lightly. He's a very tough guy, but I think it's a mistake.
Could you tell us in the Masvidal fight, that's when you broke both thumbs, and if so, how difficult was it to actually complete the fight with two broken thumbs?
Well, I do my best not to show it, but
yes.
It was early in the second round. I ended up messing both of my thumbs up. And usually in a fight, if you're injured, you don't feel it because your adrenaline's going. If you do feel it, then something is seriously wrong. And I remember going to that second fight. I don't know if it was a 1-2 or a jab cross, but I couldn't even close my fist anymore. And that I felt if I was healthy and I had my thumbs, I could have finished George Masvidal. But every time I threw a punch, since I couldn't curl my thumb up, I re-jammed my thumb every time. Every time I threw a punch, I just re-jammed it. And so, which led me to, not throw my strikes as powerful as I wanted to. So it was mostly a chess game after that, just kind of picking my shots and just kind of hitting and moving. So didn't really have enough power behind it because of that. So if I did have that, I think I could have gone out there and finished George Masvidal.
Steven, you're the nicest guy in the world. Do you feel comfortable being the enemy, going into enemy territory? This isn't Ottawa. I'm Canadian. Canadians are a different breed, and Rory wasn't from Ottawa, so I think it was different. He is from Liverpool. This is their first ever event in Liverpool. It is going to be hostile. Does that make you uncomfortable?
You know what? It doesn't at all, man. I'm going to go out there with a smile on my face, have some fun. I'm going to be nice to the fans and just enjoy myself while I'm there. Of course, I think they're going to make it as uncomfortable as possible, but I don't let that stuff bother me. Now, I've been in the fight game for a long time, and I've had a lot of stuff happen to me, and very similar situations. But man, this is definitely the top, though. This is going to be it's going to be fun, man. This is going to be exciting, to be honest with you. But hey, I'd rather go into Liverpool and fight this guy in enemy territory than being Colby Covington going to Brazil. I'll tell you that right now.
That is very true.
Oh, my goodness.
Are you doing media that are they sending you out there to get a taste of it early on, or are you going to go just for fight week?
You know what? We're going to head out there a few days early, I believe, just to get acclimated a little bit and just kind of see the whole atmosphere, feel the vibe. And UFC usually sends us out there on a Tuesday. We're going to get out there 2 days before that, just to kind of hang out and get used to everything. So I think they're 5 hours ahead. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I think
they are.
California, they're 5 hours ahead. So
from the East Coast, they're 5 hours ahead. From South Carolina, that's
from
right.
The East Coast.
Yep. Okay, last thing for you, Steven, then we'll let you get back to camp. And by the way, I wish I lived in South Carolina. My kids are off this week. I'd love to send them to your camp. But alas, I digress.
Dude, we have a blast, man.
I can hear it in the background. Darren Till spoke to MMAFighting.com, our site, a couple days ago. He spoke to PT Carroll, and he said, quote, "I don't see where he is better than me anywhere. I just think my striking is better than his, and I'm going to beat him." When asked when, he said third round knockout. What is your response to that?
All I can do is laugh. All I can do is laugh to that, man. I mean, he's very confident in himself. He's very confident, which is something you got to have. But sometimes you can be a little overconfident, and I think that's what he has. I think he's a little overconfident in himself. He's really never been tested. He knocked out a guy who's not a true welterweight. He's a 155er who was knocked out of the fight before. So, yeah, man, he's got this hype around him. And you know what? I say just let him think that. Let him think that. Let him be overconfident and see what happens when he steps out there with me. He definitely better be on his P's and Q's when he steps off against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. So, I never go out there looking for the knockout or I just go out there and let it happen. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I'm going to be ready for a five-in-a-round war. That's how I'll always look at it, and that's how I've always gone into a fight. So be ready for some fireworks, I'll tell you that.
What a scene it's going to be. May 27th, Echo Arena in Liverpool. Darren Till against the guy who many people thought beat Tyron Woodley back in November of 2 years ago and went the distance again back last March. The one and only Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, one of the greatest fighters in the welterweight division. Can't wait for it. Thank you so much, Stephen, for squeezing us in. Enjoy camp. And, of course, get well soon. And good luck in training camp for the big fight on May 27th.
Thank you very much, my friend. Always a pleasure. You have a good one.